video is very helpful for you to understand the sanction screening process, the key terms or the key technologies or the key concept that is the part of the sanction screening in perspective of business analyst or the testing analyst or the quality analyst or the developer. So this video definitely help you. So unpacking the sanction screening, a business analyst guide is in that video. So let's start a discussion on that topic and I'll explain you each concept very well. Before starting that video, I'll request you if you like my efforts and my video, so please like and subscribe my channel so that will motivate me to create the more such videos for you as per the industry and standard and who are the trending in the market related to the business analyst role or the quant analyst role, also the functional oriented videos. So let's start a discussion on that topic which I am creating these videos. So introducing what is the sanction screening. So basically we need to understand what is a sanction screening. So let's the sanction screening is a process of checking the customers and the customer transaction on other entity against the official sanction list. So there are the different bodies, financial action task force, the OFAC body or the regulatory body or the government body, financial intelligence unit body or the central bank body. They define some sanction list. So these customers are not able to do the transaction or they are prohibited to from the banking services. So the sanction screening is a process to checking the customer and their transaction in other entity against that sanction list. So these are the sanction screening that actually happen through the softwares, and I'll name some softwares upcoming slides. So the objective is that sanction screening is to provide the individual and organization on this list from assessing the financial services or engaging to prohibit the activities or financial activities they had some done the fraudulent or they are not using the banking system or the financial system for the legal activity. They use for the illegal activity and generate the illegal money or to transfer their money for the terrorist financing. So that's why we create this list, and on the list on the customers or on the people or on the entity on that list, we are not able to allow them to use the banking services. Okay, so why it's matter for the business analyst, if you are a business analyst, and why it is this thing is important for you to understand in a domain perspective and in a working perspective. So it is an essential for understanding the regulatory requirement. Understand sanction screening is an important regulatory requirement in each and all the countries for the anti-money laundering and the KYC or the customer due diligence or the customer onboarding process, or to monitor all the customer transactions and to verify is that transaction is fraudulent or genuine or illegal transaction with that sanction screening, and play an critical role in the system analysis and process optimizations and impact on customer onboarding, transaction processing, and the ongoing monitoring system like a transaction monitoring system or the customer onboarding system or the transactions processing, where we do the real time or near real time or the batch processing. So that the sanction screening will be the play an important role. So let's discuss on the key concepts and the technologies that are the part of the sanction screening. So let's first discuss on the sanctions. So basically sanction is a restrictive measure imposed by the governments or the regulators or the international bodies like UN body or the UNSC, OFAC, EN, or the Financial Action Task Force, that against the country, entity, or the individual to restrict to do the financial transaction in between the country or the individual or the entities. So the basically let's discuss on the what is a sanction list. So it is the sanction list is publicly available list for the sanction parties like individual, country, or customer, or sanction on the technology, on the economy. These are the sanctions. Let's discuss on the some example of the sanction. So first one is the Office of Foreign Asset Control, specially designated to national design, national designated nationals, OPEC or the SDN list, and the United Nations Security Council consolidated list, UNSC. They prepare one of the consolidated list for the sanction screening. and European Union sanction list also produce. Also, the India Central Bank also they provide the bank for the sanction list for the internal monitoring. Banks also they them also have the sanction list to do not give the banking services or the financial services or the insurance services to the person who are doing this using these services for the illegal activities. So let's discuss on the next is a political exposed person. We also call this as a PIPs. So PIP as an individual trust within the prohibited public functions who was considered a higher risk for the financial crime. The person who are in the the politics or higher authority in the government bodies or higher level roles in the government bodies. So the government will prepare the list of these the customers and the individual. So these are considered as a political exposed person or the PIP list. So that list is bank have, and bank has this bank will consider these persons or the people as the high risk person in the risk based approach. So accordingly they will do, and they will more monitor their transaction or their history as compared to the low risk customer or the other people. So watch list. So broader list that may include the criminal, terrorists, and other individual or high risk individuals. So the watch list is the list where include the name and other detail of criminal, terrorists, and high risk individual. And then the fails positive is also the key terminologies. A match generated by the screening system that is not a true match. While we are doing the transaction monitoring system and the name screening and the payment screening we done, then the system will allocate it, the all the rules or the logic we are applied accordingly. But most of the they are the fails positive, and the times and efforts and human interaction get eliminated. So these are also the key terminologies in that area. So let's discuss on the business analyst role in the sanction screening. So the first role is a requirement gathering, process mapping, and the system analysis. In a requirement gathering, the PA will documenting the business rule of the screening. So the regulator or the banks will create their own rules and take the rules from this regulator like Financial Intelligence Unit of India or the central bank or other the financial bodies or the government bodies or regulatory bodies conduct their requirement and write down the each rules and each the business requirement business requirements and convert that business requirement into the functional requirement and data defining the data sources list to be used and matching the criteria has the sanction will define and gathering for the alert management and case management system. Once the user or the operation user or the compliance user identified that the genuine or the true positive hits, so then the case management will happen or the alert management will happen. So how that process will run, how the process of case management will happen, how the system will to prepare the suspicious transactions report, cash transaction report, or the suspicious activity report to send these report to the financial intelligence unit or the say the government body and in the format of OAML, so that all these things requirement will match by the business analyst in a search system. So then the process mapping, how to understand the current state and the future state of the screening flow, how the screening flow, how the system will work in the screening and the current process, when the process will start. So you will do the input process and output analysis technique in the current state, and he also do the input process output analysis for the to be state, and he will also do the root cause analysis and then prepare the appropriate process and to draw the wireframes and prototype for the to be process or draw the flowcharts for the to be process with the streamline diagram, what are the roles and responsibilities are involved in each process and what they the tasks they will perform in the transaction screening process or the payment screening process or the transaction monitoring process. So in this video, we will discuss more on the transaction screening and then the system analysis. So the evolving the vendor solution, third party screening and engines will happen. How the screening will happen, how the system will do the the screening and the sanction screening will do, and then the designing the interaction of the screening system and the existing core banking and the CRM system, customer relationship management system. So how the interaction will happen in the screening system to the core banking system and the customer relationship management system. It will happen to the Excel file upload to extract the Excel file from the core banking or the CRM system and to upload the screening system or the API integration, or the other way to interact with these two systems. So this will related to that requirement, and the role of business analyst should understand very well. And then let's discuss on the sanction screening process, how the sanction screening will work actually in the banks or financial institution, how that process will work. So these are the five stage process. First one is a data input, then machine matching the logic which we apply, and then the alert generation and the case management and review, and then finally resolution will done. So in the data input process, I already told you the interaction between the core banking system or the CRM system to the screening sanction screening system, how that will happen. So the customer and transaction data is fed into the screening system, and how this data will screen. Once we feed that data and upload that data in the screening system, then the magic matching logic will run. The automatically magic logic will run, or there is a person or manual process that will run the magic. So the system use the sophisticated algorithm to compare the data against the sanction list, compare the data which we provided to the system from the CRM system or the core banking system to the data against the sanction list, and then the system will do the fuzzy matching. It is a technique, or it is an algorithm to find the matches even with the type and variation in the matches. So there is a name mismatch. Mr. Smith is only the Smith, or the Rahul Desai is RD. So like that way, the fuzzy matching will done. The full matching or the half matching technique will, exact matching, or the sum matching will happen, or the do not matching. And the phonetic matching technique is also there, and finds the name and sounds the similar. So these are the two techniques in the sanction screening will use to matching the names of the different two person. And then on that basis, if the system will find some matchings, the fuzzy matching and phonetic matching between the core banking or the CRM list and the list which is the the sanction list, and then the system will generate the alerts when the potential match is found, is then created the alerts. When the system found the potential match, then create the alert. If the operation team or the compliance team or the the work business team find that this is and the true positive, and we need to upgrade that process to the further for the case management, or to report this with the compliance like the financial intelligence unit or the central bank. So then they will start the case management and the review. The compliance officer and analyst investigate alerts to determine it is an true match or the false positive match. And then the resolution, the alert is either escalated to true match or the false positive. If it is and the fails positive match, then comment on that match, and then close this case. After commenting, has the providing the evidence why they are closing this and consider as a fails positive. If they consider it is and the true positive, then they create the suspicious transactions report, or the suspicious activity report (SAR) and the cash transaction report, and then file this report to the compliance or compliance team, or the regulatory bodies of the financial intelligence unit. So let's move on. The next slide is the types of screening. So in the market, what are the types of different types of screening are aware? So first one is the onboarding screening, then one the transaction screening, batch screening, and ongoing monitoring. So these are the four types of screening. So let's discuss one by one. So onboarding screening, it is an the real time screening, and it is an the perform at the point of customer registration and account opening. When a bank are going to open a new customer account, so at that time they will do the onboarding screening, so they can identify it is an the genuine customer, or what how much the risks they are taking against that customer, low risk, medium risk, or high risk, and ensure the customer is not on the sanction list. They make sure that this customer is not the on the sanction list. And then the transaction screening, Once the customer is onboarded, then the customer will do the transactions and pay the payment, receive the funds. So in that transaction screening, the banks or the financial intelligence unit will check the sender and receiver of the every transactions on that transaction is that breach the rules or the business logic, and it is critical for the cross border payment and wire transfer. So most of the real time do the swift transaction, rtgs transaction, neft transaction, or the banking transaction, or the check transaction. So all these transactions are monitored by the financial intelligence, you monitored by the banks. Okay, then the batch screening will happen, a bulk check of entire customer database. Once the customer is onboarded, so then amendment customer or new customer or existing customer or the new updated sanction list, if the bank will receive, then the batch screening will bank will do is that the customer with them which are now newly updated on the sanction list, internal sanction list or the external sanction list, and perform the periodically. It is done by the bank on a daily basis, weekly basis, or the monthly basis when the lists are updated by the regulators. And then the ongoing monitoring, so continuously there happening the ongoing monitoring of the transactions is transferred by the customer. And in bank there are million and trillion of transactions done by customers with the online banking or internet banking, UPI applications, to different kinds of transactions done by the customer. And the continuous screening of the customer relationship for new risks will happen and ensure the compliance as new lists are published and existing data get changes. So that's done by and make sure that this thing will happen in their the system. So let's move on the next slide, that is the technology and the systems that used by the banks or the financial intelligence unit or the insurance or the BFSI domain. So first one is the third party solution. So bank will take in a dedicated software from the vendor. So there are the different vendors in the market, like the Finscop or the LexinXis, or the Omini or the MLFT shop. So these are the different vendors. They are providing the money laundering and transaction screening, or the the payment screening, or the word check, or the name change. That kind of the system they will provide it. Sanction screening system. So these are the third party solution bank will consume and do their work, and offer up-to-date list and reviews, matching logic, and the case management tools. These the third party will provide to the bank how to do the case management, how the reviews matching logic will work, and how to update the sanction list. And in-house the system custom build solution will be created by the banks or the financial institution how they want. And and obtain the large and complex organization solution that will solve the business problem, or that will consider the in-scope functionality and out-scope functionality, and provide the greater control, but the require the significant development and the maintenance of that software or the solution will happen. And then the API and data feeds. So the bank will make sure that how we will feed data to that transaction monitoring system or the third party solution. So they will use the API or the Excel file upload things to get data uploaded in that functions, or the transaction monitoring system or the sanction screening system. The primary method of integration in the sanction data into the enterprise system. So how they do that related requirement, business analyst should gather. It is use the ETL technique, extraction, transformation, or load technique, or the API, and BA must define the API requirement and data exchange, how the data will exchange. So what are the fields in the system or the technology or system content, and the core banking system content, and how these transaction will done. So let's discuss on the common challenges and the best practices in that the sanction screening process. So first let's discuss on the challenges and then discuss on the best practices. So first one, the challenge is a fails positive. So guys, it is and the very high level challenge which is faced by the bank. So that's why bank are moving into the AI ML technique or the quantum computing technique to reduce the fails positive and increase the positive rate and reduce the human interaction with that system. So high volume of non matches that require the manual review, increasing the operational cost, to reduce the operational cost, the fails positive will increase the operational cost and the data quality. Incomplete and inaccurate customer data can lead to mismatch and fails the alert. So these are the one of the greatest challenge in there, the data quality and stay up to date of the sanction list. So sanction lists are consistently changing, updating, refreshing by the internal or the external sanction bodies or regulatory bodies, and system must update in the real time that sanction list in the system, or to do the transaction monitoring or the case management process or the payment screening process or the name screening process to build that up to date sanction list. And the best practices to tune these systems, the calibrate and matching the logic to reduce the false positive rate. So it's an the important things that use the technologies or the techniques that will reduce the false positive rate and increase the true positive rates, and then implement the data governance and ensure the high quality of the customer and transaction data we will feed to the system and automate and update. Use the automated data feed and sanction list, so the system will automatically gather, collect the sanction list where it has, and to update the sanction list whenever it's updated. So that process and do the transaction monitoring, name screening, sanction screening, or the word check system automatically. So the human interaction will get eliminated. And the clear policies, define clear and documented procedure for alert review and escalation, and create the clear policy how that process or functions will work in the system. So that's the common challenges and the best practices done by the business analyst or the financial institution or the bank or the insurance companies. So let's last that conclusion and the QA. So what we learn from that these videos? So sanction screening is a critical component of the robust financial compliance program, and it is an important part, the sanction screening. So to avoid the terrorist financing or the anti-money laundering things, and to uh, protect the banks with the positive influence in the market. And the business analysts play a vital role in the bridging the gap between the regulatory requirement and the technical requirement, or the regulatory functional requirement and the technical implementation in the transaction monitoring system or the sanction screening system or the payment screening system. And by understanding the process and the technology and the challenges, we can help an organization to build an efficient and effective screening program, so that will help to do the on time delivery, and the system will increase, and bank will become to make them sure that most effectively technology and the program they will run. So that's the my end. Yeah, thank you so much for your time and attending these videos, and I am now open to you have any open questions and open point related that, please do comments and like and subscribe my channel, so that will motivate me to create more and more such videos for you. So thank you so much. If you have any questions and the open points, so email me and call me, I'll therefore help you. So thank you so much once again. Thanks.